Welcome everyone. In this session, we're diving into Chapter 10, Community Organizing and Community Building, an essential part of planning, implementing, and evaluating health promotion programs. This chapter brings together theory and practice to help us understand how communities mobilize, build capacity, and take collective action to improve health outcomes. By the end of this chapter, you'll be able to define terms like community, community organizing, community building. You will also learn the basic processes behind organizing communities, and we'll look at what it means to map community capacity. These skills are foundational for developing programs that are community-centered and sustainable. A community isn't just a group of people living in one place. It's a body of individuals connected through shared characteristics, experiences, interests, or values. Understanding how a community defines itself helps us tailor interventions that resonate with its members. Communities share many features, such as belonging, shared symbols and traditions, common values, mutual influence, and a connection built through shared experiences. These characteristics help explain how communities come together and why collective action can be so powerful. Historically, communities in the U.S. had a naturally strong sense of togetherness. However, with technology and increased mobility, that sense has weakened. Community organizing emerged in the 1880s as a way to intentionally rebuild that collective strength. Community organizing is critical in health education because it's based on the principle of meeting people where they are. It allows us to tap into community knowledge, leadership, and motivation to create meaningful change. Community organizing involves individuals and groups identifying issues, advocating for change, and mobilizing resources together. It's not an exact science. It's an art that requires building consensus and working through democratic processes. You'll hear related concepts like capacity building, community engagement, empowerment, and grassroots participation, and systems change. These terms all relate to how communities strengthen themselves and move toward collective goals. There are some universal truths in community organizing, such as communities have capacity, people want to change and can change, and lasting change must be self-directed. Successful organizing requires cooperation, a holistic approach, and sometimes outside support to help a community get started. There is no single correct model for community organizing. Earlier models emphasized cooperation and consensus, while more recent approaches highlight data-driven planning, capacity building or development, and even advocacy or confrontation when needed to address inequities. This typology shows how different models vary, from consensus-based strategies to advocacy and conflict-driven approaches. Each model has a place depending on the needs, strengths, and power dynamics within a community. Here's a visual of the overall process. It begins with identifying an issue, entering the community, organizing the people, assessing the needs and assets, and setting priorities. From there, solutions are developed, implemented, evaluated, and most importantly, maintained. These looping back steps remind us that change is not a linear process. The first person who recognizes the problem becomes the initial organizer. When the recognition happens within the community, the effort has stronger roots and is more likely to succeed. This is grassroots or bottom-up organizing. When the issue is identified by someone outside of the community, gaining trust is essential. Gatekeepers are those who influence community's political or social climate, and they must be approached respectfully using cultural humility and careful relationship building. We begin with those who are most affected by the problem. A core group or executive participants will step into leadership roles. These leaders need a blend of vision, technical skill, and interpersonal experience. Participation happens at many levels. Active, occasional, and supporting participants all play roles, and they are important roles. You may need volunteers, a task force, or even a coalition of organizations working together for a shared goal. Traditional organizing looks for problems. Community building looks for assets. Needs assets identify gaps, while asset mapping identifies strengths and capabilities, and mapping community capacity helps you understand what resources already exist. Community assets come in three forms. Primary assets are those within the community control. Secondary assets present in the community but controlled by outsiders. And potential assets are external resources controlled by outside of the community. And knowing these can help inform your strategies. This is an example of what an assets map can look like. It visually displays the wide range of potential resources from individuals and businesses to institutions and public systems. They can all support your community initiatives. This step requires identifying what matters the most to the community. Stakeholders must reach consensus, which can be challenging. Priorities must be winnable, practical, and definitely aligned with the community needs. Once priorities are set, potential solutions are explored. Committees may weigh pros and cons, discuss feasibility, and develop a plan of action that reflects their shared agreement. The final steps involve implementing the plan, collecting resources, and creating a timeline. Evaluation, both formative and summative here, is essential, and sustaining change over time may be the hardest step, requiring long-term commitment and community capacity. If needed, you'll have to revisit the earlier steps and adjust. Community organization involves planned collective action, while community building focuses on strengthening existing infrastructure. In practice, these processes overlap and support one another, but they are not interchangeable. Although community organizing has existed for over a century, its application in health education is more recent. There's no single model that works best, but this chapter will provide a clear 9-step approach to guide your work.